Hello everyone and welcome to this tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at decimals. The decimal is just a way of expressing a number that isn't quite a whole number. For example, the number you see on the screen now, 2365.89, is in between 2365 and 2366. If we were to put this decimal number into a place value table, we'd do it like this. First of all, we'd have a 2 in the thousands column, a 3 in the hundreds, a 6 in the tens, and a 5 in the units. This is all stuff that we've covered before. Then we add in our decimal point, and the next column along from our units column is the tenths column. So we have 8 of these, and then the next column along is going to be a hundredths column, and we're going to have 9 of those. So you can probably see that we have 10 tenths per unit and 100 hundredths per unit. If you're looking at this for the first time now, the concept of a decimal still might seem a little bit strange. To try and help you understand this, the best thing that I'd recommend to do is to think about decimals just as money. For example, if we were dealing with the division 5 divided by 2, we'd turn this into money. So we'd think of half of £5, which is £2.50, and then just remove the pound sign to turn this back into a decimal, so 2.5 or 2.50. So you can see that these tenths, hundredths, they work exactly the same way as pennies do into a pound. The only thing that makes decimals a little bit more complicated is we have tens, hundredths, thousandths, millionths, and so on and so on. All you need to remember is that each time we move to the left on a place value table, the numbers are worth 10 times as much. So we can fit 10 hundredths into a tenth, 10 tenths into a unit, 10 units into a 10, and so on and so on and so on. So now we need to think about how do we add decimals together. For example, if we had 0.67 plus 0.54, how would we add these two numbers together? And again, the easiest way to understand this is to think about money. So 0.67 is just 67p plus 0.54, which is 54p, and that goes into £1.21. So we can say that 0.67 plus 0.54 is just 1.21. Now, what about if we make this a little bit more complicated and we had the sum 0.5769, so we've got 5 tenths, 7 hundredths, 6 thousandths, and 9 ten thousandths, and we added on to this decimal 0.1302. Well, you can see that as we add more decimal places, we start to need a better way of doing things. We can't really think about these decimals as money because in money we only have 2 decimal places. There's only 100 pence to a pound. So what we can start doing is we can start using our old friend column addition. If you've not covered column addition and you're not sure how it works yet, go and look at the lesson called Adding and Subtracting Whole Numbers. That'll teach you all about it. But anyway, so we're going to use column addition to add these two numbers together, and as you'll already know, if you're happy with column addition, we have to write the two numbers on top of each other like this, and it's really important to align the place values. Also, when we're dealing with decimals, what it's really important to do is to make sure that the decimal point always lines up for both numbers. If you've made the place values line up, then the decimal points should line up just fine, but it's just an extra added check you can do to make sure that you're doing things correctly. Anyway, to add and subtract decimals using column addition or subtraction, we follow exactly the same process as we have done when we're using whole numbers. So we'll start in the rightmost column here and do 9 plus 2, which is going to be 11. So we write our little 1 down here and the other one here to make 11. Then moving a longer column, we have 6 plus 0 plus 1, which is 7. Moving along another column, we have 7 plus 3, which is 10. So we write the 1 here and the 0 here. In the next column, we have 5 plus 1 plus 1, which is 7. And then in the final column, across the other side of the decimal point, we get 0 plus 0, which is just 0. It's very important to write in the decimal point in our answer box here. Now our column addition has told us that 0.5769 plus 0.1302 is equal to 0.7071. Okay, now let's look at a slightly more difficult example of adding decimals together. Here we've got 67.897 plus 12.649. Using column addition, we just write them on top of each other, make sure the place values line up, and then as a final check, just make sure that the decimal points line up as well. Then we can start our column addition just as we have done before in the rightmost column with 9 plus 9, which is 18, Moving on to the next column, we have 7 plus 4 plus 1, which is 12. In the next column, we have 8 plus 6 plus 1, which is 15. Just look how I'm writing this 15 here. We do it exactly the same as before. The decimal point here makes no difference. We're just writing our little 1 underneath the column to the left. Then in this column, we have 7 plus 2 plus 1, which is 10. And then in the final column, we have 6 plus 1 plus 1, which is 8. So now we've found that 67.897 plus 12.649 is equal to 80.528. Now, last of all, as I mentioned earlier, we can use column subtraction with decimals, so we'll just go through an example of that now. Let's do 67.897 minus 12.649. So we write the two numbers on top of each other, make sure the place values and the decimal points are in line with each other, and begin our column subtraction. Starting in the first column here, we have 7 minus 9, which we can't do, so we borrow a digit from the column above this, so cross out the 9, replace it with an 8, and now we have 17 in our top number here. So 17 minus 9, which is 8. Then in the next column along, we have 8 minus 4, which is 4. In the next column, we have 8 minus 6, which is 2. Across the other side of our decimal point, on the next column, we have 7 minus 2, which is 5. And then finally, we have 6 minus 1, which is also 5. So 67.897 minus 12.649 is equal to 55.248. I hope that this lesson was helpful and that now you understand the decimal a little bit better. What I'd really recommend doing now is just practicing your column addition and subtraction, but with some decimals instead of whole numbers. Thank you so much for watching.